Alright, looks like that track finished. Looks like the mic is working, so let's transfer on over to here for a second. Alright. Ah, yes, yes. Welcome, Dollar Coins. He is here for my wisdom and my recommends. Also, my good taste. Well, this is the right spot to find all those things. Alright, let's see. Howdy, there I am. Hope you folks are doing well. I'm Cody with IronVerse Comics, and we're doing another Whatcha Reading. This is the fifth one. So far, I've been able to make it every week. Sadly, I can't ever guarantee if it's going to be on Tuesday or Wednesday. I wanted to so bad yesterday, but it was not it was just not going to happen. And today, I'm in a little bit better of a zone, so I hope I can carry a stream a little bit better than I could have yesterday. I think I'm out of coffee, which is this. Oh, no, no. Okay, now I'm out of coffee. Yeah, a little bit of grounds in there. Isn't that the best? Get some roughage with your coffee. All right, USB device not recognized. Now, shush, we're not trying to play a game or anything anyway. It's this controller. It's a little wonky. All right, well, got a stack here that is just covered in holy light, as you can see. It's just shining down with just this glorious beacon. I don't know what the glare is about, but we're gonna go ahead and dive into these babies. Talk about what I've been reading, what I got through, and hopefully, if you folks enjoy, you let me know in the comments or in chat what you've kind of been checking out. Yeah, there's a hot doggo over here to the right who's enjoying our air conditioning. She was out for a little bit doing her doggo things, and now, yep, yeah, we're talking about you. Uh, Now it's time to cool off, so that was good for her. So, let's see. How do I want to do this? I guess I'll start with what I've usually been starting with, just because easy enough to begin with. I'm probably going to talk about all three of these as one thing. Is probably what I'm going to do. We'll talk about the covers a little bit, particularly because these two are interesting. So we'll start with this one. It's probably my favorite cover on this in this entire collection. I did the first five omnibuses first. We've been talking about those on What You're Reading. I think since at least Omnibus 3, maybe even before that. I'd have to go back and look. My memory's just not there. But I was and did really enjoy Alita Battle Angel Last Order. Let's see, can we do this? One of these days I'll figure out this glare situation. You can kind of see that a little bit. I really like that cover. There's also a panel, of course, in the manga. It's I don't even think it's a full page panel though, is it? It's kind of towards the end. It happens because she's beaten. Um, this was a lot, and I guess I can talk about this one self-contained a little bit more than the other two are kind of together. Up to this point, you're finishing the. This is volume 17. Um, the omnibuses go up to volume 15, and then from there, they just did not collect them into omnibuses, so you had to buy them separately. Uh, 16 was kind of a build up towards the end of the Zot tournament. It's got all the big pieces on the table for like the galactic the uh, solar system, but what would that be called? The system-wide government, I guess, is the best way for me to say that right now. Got all those boards on all those pieces on the board, and basically the Zot tournament. If you win, you get a request, right? The Zenith of Things tournament. You prove you're the most powerful martial artist in. Again, I keep wanting to say galaxy, but it's in the system. There's no aliens in Battle Angel Alita, as far as I can tell. Just a lot of things that'd be very foreign to us today, but are very much within the realm of scientific progress and what we're kind of working for. Anywho, my mind's just not there today. That's really disappointing. But the build up, the pieces are on the table. If you win, you get your wish. The Space Angels, which is Alita's team, and then there's the Space Karate Forces. Those are the two teams that have gotten all the way to the end. Um, it kind of becomes a masculine versus feminine thing with how he wrote it. With the Space Angels being more of a chaotic, free, and emotional team versus the very direct and logical Karate Forces. And most of these volumes up to 18, so including this one that kind of finishes that, focuses on those two dynamics and contrasting them, while also having the third entity, the government, trying to make sure that neither of those sides wins. The karate forces want a karate planet. They want a big chunk of land set aside for them for eternity to raise new karate members. The Space Angels, they want freedom for the scrapyard. And so if anybody who's been following Battle Angel Alita, even just watch the movie, you're aware what the scrapyard is. It's where most of Battle Angel Alita, the original, takes place. It's the real Mad Max factory, grungy, on Earth, remnants of mankind kind of vibe. Throughout Battle Angel Alita, you find out that that was just a drop in the ocean because you don't. The scrapyard didn't know about a galactic government. The city in the clouds was a city in the clouds. Like, it was this kind of mystical fucker that just hung over the scrapyard that they'd get like the remnants from the city dropping down, and then they'd make lives out of the trash. Um, you get to that city in the clouds, and then you go past that and you get into space, and then there's another layer. There's something above the city in the clouds that was being taken care of, and that's where the the solar system wide government kind of meets and convenes. You find out. The higher up you go, the more controlled people were. Literally with brain chips, and the actual control of those algorithms in there. They called it unanimous. Was the program that the head of their galactic government, who was an old war hero, was using so that he could be a dictator without having to dictate. He just would imply something, and the whole populace would think it was their idea. Um, Kind of neat. Kind of a neat. Again, most of these books explore identity, so you'll find that the concept of identity attacked from a bunch of different angles, and then also shored up from a bunch of different angles, and it's just kind of contrasted. Volume 17, you'll see Alita as this cat angel. She finally gets angel wings. The angel wings do not last. He's just using it as visual metaphors. They they fall off pretty quick. She gets her ass kicked. Literally, it's this awesome fight, this penultimate fight with this guy, the Karate Forces guy, who's been really cool, really zen. They had a great having tea relationship. The two of them was very very cordial, and so it was this. You get a lot of like Dragon Ball vibe, where it's Goku and this other really strong guy who recognizes how strong Goku is, and they both are really excited to fight, but they're also they want to give their best kind of vibe. It was a neat little thing, especially since Alita's kind of she's a bit of a self-assured jerk. She is throughout the whole thing, but the stronger she gets, the more arrogant she gets, and that's kind of important because that's part of her journey back to her identity. Um, But yeah, she gets her ass kicked. It's part of this old karate metaphor. I guess it gets this rat that beat three other cats. And then that comes to a head, and so that's why she also ends up with a cat tail. So it's quite literally part of this old karate tale, I guess. That she becomes the cat, and then the other guy becomes the rat, and there's this interesting dynamic fight that happens. It happens on multiple levels too. It happens in the metaphysical. Um, in this one, we hit the head of the Zenith tournament, though, and there's a lot of things I don't really want to spoil, especially if you got this far. But there's some cool stuff. Some cool stuff that happens to do with it, and Volume 17 is great. Just read all of it to get there, or else I wouldn't just pick up this volume. It's pretty much true with a lot of manga, sadly. You can pick up any volume a lot of the times, and maybe you'll get something cool out of it, but you'll want to go back and start from the beginning, right? Big Caboose, yes. That's the thing too. He starts getting a little bit more. I don't know, the last omnibus, maybe the last two omnibuses in this one, he leans into sexuality again quite a lot. There's a guy, uh, a brain damaged cyborg who used to dodge bullets, a karate master who used to dodge bullets for cyborg karate master. They call it magnetic kung fu or magnetic karate, excuse me, electromagnetic karate, excuse me. Um, so your cyborg body is kind of built to do it. Um, yeah, his whole bit is he's like this sex pervert. He's put in God early on in the Zot tournament as like an assassin. That's how he was making his life, making his money to survive, and then be his crazy pervy self. Takes a while for him to get beaten, but he gets beaten. It's a good little bit. The family gets closure because he was a good dad, but then he loses part of his brain and he goes insane. A lot of little things. It's a very dense story. Very dense story. But okay, anyway, Volume 17 finishes the Zot tournament. Um, it hits ahead. The Galactic Dictator tries to pull one last little bit of bullshit. The top level electromagnetic karate master, one of the founders of electromagnetic karate, so they thought he was dead, but he is actually he was a Buddha. He found his way into in between dimensions and was existing in between dimensions until he was needed again. And then he uses the last of his power and a little bit of Alita's to save the day, I'm going to say. And try and save the dictator. He tries to give the dictator a second chance. The dictator's called Trinity. He had the three most powerful and intelligent brain chips, basically people's souls implanted into his own brain. So he became super arrogant and thought he was the only one who knew what was needed to be done at all times. And that becomes a thing. And then they remove that, and he's still an arrogant piece of shit. And then it goes from there. His storyline does end. I'll tell you that much. And that it was a neat embody is his human name, but he called himself Trinity as like the icon as a dictator. Um, that was a cool bit of story progression. It takes a while because he genuinely believes he was doing the right thing. Right? His arrogance comes from a place of no one else can see what I can see, and this is how it needs to be taken care of. Um, so that was felt the entire time until he gets that removed, and then he's just left with his arrogance. It's a trip. It was really cool. These two, however, try and finish shit that was left hanging in Battle Angel Alita, the first mark. You follow Professor Ito and Figure 4. Figure 4 is the second man to fall in love with Alita and vice versa. And Ito, I mean, he's her dad. It's the best way to put it. The Alita persona, identity, and soul wouldn't exist um, without Ido. And so he had a huge arc where he massive spoiler for Battle Angel Alita again is this brain chip concept, and Ito goes completely insane from his finding out he has a brain chip, right? And so he's not sure if he's a copy or not, and that's a big deal. It was enough to drive him insane. So he erases his memory and just wanders off. Um, I need to read it again to remember if he actually is a copy. I think that's no, that's just how it works. It's part of that unanimous control, right? So anybody born on that city in the sky, when they're born, they have their persona. Oh no, I think it's when you reach maturity, you have your brain replaced with a brain chip overnight. It was some kind of ritual that they disguised as something else, but that's what they do. They fucking scan your brain, cut it out, replace it with a chip so that they can control it. Um, and so he gets insane. He goes crazy figuring that out. And a lot of once that's revealed, that's a big fucking deal in the original Battle Angel Alita. A lot of people go absolutely insane because they can't get through the concept that they probably aren't who they think they are, or if they are, they're a copy or a fabrication, right? It's a trip. Again, it really explores identity. Um, So they finished that storyline with Ido. They finished Figure Four's storyline where Alita said, "When I'm done with this, I will come back and marry you," even though she basically was even lying at that time to protect him. She wanted him to go, get away from her, and she ends up getting the factory, or I guess is what I'll call it, which is, if you're familiar with IronVerse Comics, basically Famine Inc. Um, has her number and has something over her, is blackmailing her to work as an assassin under her, um, or under them, and they're also copying her body and her genetics because she is the top warrior that they're aware of, right? Um, and so that plot line kind of comes to a head too. Sex, or German for six, is kind of the male Alita that is created out of this. He's the only one of the copies to really survive. Um, his plot line has to do with the karate masters, and trying to get stronger and more powerful, and actually defeating one of the two most powerful karate masters left, the two disciples of the main guy, who I said helped save the day, the Buddha. Um, Wonderful tale. It's just these last two, I expected it to set up Mars Chronicles better, or at least have more of a definitive conclusion to some of the storylines. And it finishes like three of the like six storylines, and one of the six storylines I think is the most important in Mars Chronicle. I'm not sure yet. Um, they barely imply. He takes like two chapters to introduce who's probably going to be one of the main characters in Mars Chronicle. Earlier, I think he does that in like chapter 14 or something like that, volume 14, and then just leaves it, right? So that's that one he doesn't even touch on again. Alita, again, Figure Four gets his conclusion by part of the whole arc was her trying to get her own brain back, right? And so there's that exploration identity also, and she's one of the few who gets through the brain chip hurdle, and it's like, well, I'm still me, I'm something new. They have this whole thought process where she's talking to the two biggest AI intelligences. One's this Jupiter thing, which are the biggest transhumanisms, the people who really just wanted to remove every bit of humanity from humanity, so they look like boxes and shit. They're little robots. And they developed their own mega AI, and then the mega AI that saved humanity from the apocalypse, Arthur. He's the other one, and he's more of the fortune teller, and that whole storyline, again, he almost lost me in Omnibus 3 because of how much he focused on that just post-apocalyptic but pre rebuilding of mankind storyline with vampires, and I was like, what the fuck. That's all part of that, and it actually comes full circle really well. um, Definitely do recommend Last Order. I'm just pissed I have to read Mars Chronicle. Like with Battle Angel Alita, I didn't have to go into Last Order. You could just read Battle Angel Alita from beginning to end, and you'll have a conclusion. You'll have a slight loosely open conclusion, because one of the main bad guys isn't defeated, and literally the last scene is him getting a hold of something important and just kind of walking off. And just left to your imagination what's going to happen. But then he did Last Order, and it's good. It's good. It's just it needs to continue, and it is continuing. It just pisses me off that it didn't conclude as many storylines to feel like an ending, right? Mars Chronicle just feels like more Last Order, as far as I can tell. Like there's no definitive like here and then we're here. But I'll find out. I've got the first volume hopefully waiting for me today, and I'll probably tear right through that once I go pick it up. Um, One of my favorite series in manga, the exploration identity is really important to me. I know it's a very ego-filled thing, right? But trying to figure out how you harmonize and communicate with this existence is important to me. And you can only do that from your own footing. And that's a lot of what this is about. I totally recommend it. You just got to read it as it's intended. Otherwise, I think you're not going to get that much out of it. It'd be like reading Berserk out of order, or reading uh, probably One Piece out of order. It's just kind of like, huh, I'm missing a lot, would be my guess. But good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. The male Alita's storyline is really cool. He's very much a Goku. He just wants to get stronger, and that's his whole bit. And he even gets an affection for Alita, like Vegeta has for Goku, where it's don't fucking die till I can beat you. It's a neat dynamic, and it's a cool character, and it's a gag character also. It starts off as this little fucking tiny little robot, and then he gets this really powerful, very specific body that only two cyborgs in the universe have. Well, I guess universe, yeah. One of those two karate master disciples, the bad boy one. He's a pretty cool character too, honestly. Um, and Yeah, he's got a cool arc too. He's got a cool arc too. Most of the side characters have cool arcs. A lot of people had problems with how much pontificating Kishiro did in this. It's a lot of talking about philosophy and weighing different ideas against each other, and then like random bits that he'll throw in, and then you don't think it's gonna work, but then he comments on it later, or integrates the idea later, like that perv fucking thing. Um, it's weird, but it's really good. It's really good. It's really engaging. The pacing is excellent. Um, really easy to tear through these books, man, and I love that. All right, now we're on to our Western works. I think I'm going to save the very much independent title for the end there, because there's not too much to talk about on that one, honestly. And I'm going to go more in depth on that one on an IronVerse Quickies. But let's do the Gru. Let's do the Gru. So I'm trying to read a Gru at least before every one of these, just so I can talk about Gru every one of these, right? Again, I love Gru the Wanderer for its playfulness with the medium. Um, Argona's not only can be a masterful talent in terms of the artwork, right? Showing pages and just hyper detail when he wants, but still cartoony and goofy. Um, and then the writing with its unique voice, just incredible. Really fun stuff. This one, Gru gets shrunk down to go capture an amulet from a micro king, some little king who got a hold of half of a wizard's amulet that these two witches want. The shorter witch lost her powers at some point, and this is how she's going to get them back, is by delivering this amulet to her master. Um, Little do we know, as it's going through, that the Little King also wants the other half of the amulet, which is held by the sorcerer. So Gru's like, okay, you'll give me this half of the amulet if I go get this other half. Okay. He's a dumbass, so he just goes for that and thinks everything's gonna work out fine. The Little King, he just wants both halves of the amulet so he can become all powerful. So Gru gets the other half of the amulet for the sorcerer. He brings it back to the Micro King. Micro King's like, well, now I have everything. I don't need to listen to you at all. And Gru's like, okay, fine. I'm just gonna kill you. And so he steals the amulet and is about to kill him. Gru's doing all of this because he was shrunk down. He's not doing it for like any other reason. It's just these witches shrunk his ass and said they won't grow him up without him doing this job. So he's fine with it. He usually goes with the flow a bit. Um, and so when he has the amulet, he wishes he was big so that he could beat the guy even harder. And so he turns big. He has the amulet. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I did my job. So he's walking down. He tosses the other half of the amulet that he doesn't think he needs into the river. The sorcerer that he stole the half of the amulet for the Little King from um, is who the witches want to deliver that half to, so that he has the whole half and will give her power. And that's the joke. He lost the whole half. He brings back the half, and they get shit from the sorcerer because now he has the wrong half of the amulet, and the other one's gone forever. And as it usually ends up, Gru's being chased at the end of it, getting ready to be killed. It's just it's fun stuff. I think the moral of it was the the employer who has a fool for an employee is also a fool. I think was the moral. It's a fun book, man. And these are usually self-contained. Again, if it doesn't say part one or something, just pick up the Gru issue if you don't have it. It's gonna be a good 10-minute read, 5 to 10 minute read. You're gonna have a chuckle or two, and then hopefully it'll stick in your head. Like this stuck in my head better than all the dense details of Alita. Right? The plot was simple, and the gags were memorable, and then it was done. I appreciate that very, very much, and I hope to read all of this at some point. But I've still got some more to go through in my little dollar collection there. That sounds like one of my Spinner Rooney lore elements you haven't told. Ooh. Not sure if you're talking about Gru, which is probably my favorite gag comic in the West, or if you're talking about something I was saying in Alita, which is overly complicated. But either way, uh, I'm interested. All right, then we'll go to this. I didn't really look at this cover. It's badass. So this artist is all about front shots. You'll see 90% of the camera angles are looking directly on the reader. This is Lone Ranger, Volume 3 from Dynamite, 2000 or late 2000s, I believe, 2009, 2010. Um, it's been a really fun Western read. Very classic kind of revenge tale. It's got a lot of Batman in it. I mean, he's got a Lone Ranger cave. Tonto isn't that well built in it is one of the negatives I'd say. He's got his angles, he's got some characterization, right, but it's not very strong. I think he's supposed to be sort of apart from the story. You don't really understand him, but he's there. I think that's what they're going for. It's just not engaging, I guess is the best way to put it. So it's not good on its own merits for that. But the art style, though every shot is like directly on, from faces to the running angles. Again, this is I really like this cover. Him running through the flames, and that moment was pretty cool in the book. They even apply something kind of supernatural that he ran through the flames and grabbed this kid and ran out. And he didn't get singed, but Tonto was fighting the fire and getting in there and trying to save folks, and he was getting scorched here and there. Somehow Lone Ranger and Silver didn't, which is kind of cool. It's a classic kind of revenge tale. It's very like an early Batman kind of story. He works with they even have like a Commissioner Gordon kind of character who's a sheriff who appeared in this. That was kind of neat. Um, I don't know. In terms of like classic Western books, this is really good. It's been my main exposure to the Lone Ranger mythos as well, so I can't tell you how accurate it is to the past or to other work that's come out. But this was pretty long running too. I don't remember how many volumes it got out, but it got quite a few with the same creative team, which is wonderful for such a long running IP. Um, very classic kind of folk hero story, and I appreciate it. This page, I'm glad it showed up again. Fucking love this page. I posted it when I was reading. Again, everything's like straight up on, and that's this page. Um, but something about his paneling and the angles he chose, and then the colorist. I don't know. There's something about that. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 6-panel layout, but every panel's like in the main image. I don't know. I really love the layout and just the impression this gave. It was stand out when I saw it. Then there's another image with him running through the fire that's like the cover, but not the cover. That's really good too. This artist like again he definitely tries to stick to his comfort zones, but when he does something right, it's really cool. I can't tell you how many issues end with something like that, where it's just them riding into the camera. He really likes that. He has to draw a lot of horses. um, but man, I do recommend if you're looking for a classic Western kind of dime novel sort of read, this Lone Ranger run hasn't disappointed. This was volume 3. I've got one more in my possession I want to read. That's 15 issues if I finish this, and or when I finish this. So I mean, 15 issues into a run, and it's still really good. That's pretty solid for a Western book. It can be kind of hard. Jonah Hex is also really good, but it's more of like a Western Punisher book. This is more of a Western Batman book, I guess is the best way to say it. And yeah, I be fair, I don't even think he's had to fire a shot yet in 15 issues. That's pretty impressive. I like that. Come to think of it, yeah, I can't remember a moment he had to pull out his gun and fire a silver bullet yet. They made a whole point of, well, I make it out of silver so that every bullet counts. It's super important that I use it right. That was a neat little moral message in there against Lone Ranger. Um, the colors too. I love how Jack ended up with Lone Ranger colors, even though we didn't mean to. Just brown hat instead of a white hat cowboy, and that kind of communicates it. Quintessential dime novel, white hat cowboy story. Definitely worth your time. Definitely worth your time. Howdy, howdy. Good vibes. Good vibes. Um, they are doing a Gru meets Tarzan story. Start next month. Ooh, awesome! I don't know how much Sergio is involved. I hope very much so. It's not Gru without him, and I know it's creator owned. It's been his creator owned property for as long as like Usagi Yojimbo was, and I don't know if the Turtles are. I hope they're still relatively creator owned. Um, I just know that they definitely exploded so much and they saw the money, so they're like, yep, okay. They took what they could. Illustrated Monk, the last thing we had to read. Right here. Eclectic Coven. My copy was not one of the damaged copies, I can say, which was really nice. The story in the back, I'm really impressed when you can do a story with minimal lettering. And the pinups are amazing. I don't have too much to say. Well, that's not true. I don't want to say too much here on this, and calling this reading. It's true. I love the somewhat poetic attachments you attach to many of the beautiful images. When I first read the digital, I shared this page right here with my thumbs over. Um, because it was a beautiful introduction to what you're trying to do here. Just wonderful. Um, your artwork, man, so good. But to talk shortly about the short you did without lettering, um, I love your detail, your thematics, what you do. Um, Beautiful pickup. I hope that if you have a bunch of extra, you're going to be selling them on your store here soon so people can snag it. And I'm super excited for your actual sequential comic. This was a great intro. The quality's great. I love the printing quality. Definitely worth checking out for a even further indie kind of book. Super stoked to have the signature right there too. And being the artist you are, you put it in a very nice place. Um, Very much worth checking out. That's pretty much what I've been reading. I've still been reading and going through Scott McCloud's Making Comics. It's really onto the art end of it, and there's things I can take away, sure, but since it's also kind of a textbook, uh, there's a lot of it that's a little harder for me to swallow. Um, so it's been a lot slower going than when I was going through Understanding Comics by the same guy. I don't have that here because it's not right here. It's actually in the bathroom. It's my bathroom read right now. um, yeah, that's kind of what I read in the last week. The Alita was the big one. That's the one that took the most time to get through. And then when I finished it, I was a little disappointed. I was like, oh, well, Mars Chronicles just Last Order Volume 20, isn't it? At 20 and on. It's just he wanted to break up the series and maybe take a break at the time he finished these, and now he's on volume 7, I think, is going to release next month of Last Order, or not Last Order, of Mars Chronicles, so I'm going to try and catch up by the time that's released, but I hope he finishes it with Mars Chronicle. I hope it doesn't become a Toriyama situation, because he's not as good as Toriyama on just pulling things out of his ass. He actually has a point to what he's doing, where Toriyama's like, here's a few vague ideas, and let's do some cool fights. That'll fill out arcs and arcs. We don't need too much emotion there. And I haven't read much Super. I watched some Super, and that's definitely what he's doing in Super. So so it is what it is. But yeah, definitely. I usually don't put stuff here that I didn't enjoy. Right? I don't usually get through stuff I don't enjoy. Um, and I haven't done quickies for a while, so like the quality and my choices have been more limited. I need to do one on Eclectic Coven because I want to talk about some more specific things, and I need to do one on Adobe Kroger Volume 2 or Issue 2, and excited to talk about that as well. But hopefully later today. Hopefully later today. I'm kind of stuck inside because of how hot it is, so we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, that covers what I've been reading. If you folks have been reading anything good, let me know in chat or in the comments below if you're watching this later, which not all too likely, but maybe. Good stuff. Um, yeah. Future reads I want to get to. I'm probably going to read the last volume of Lone Ranger I have. I'm definitely going to dive into Mars Chronicle. Um, oh, you know what? I did start. We'll talk about this for a minute because I did start it again, just because it's fun. I didn't finish it. I did start it again. You want a goofy manga that sadly you won't be able to finish in English unless you find fan translations, I guess is the nicest way to say it. But this fella, I say fella, Kirohime. It's a goofball gag manga set in a kind of a weird west setting with gun witches. Um, it's an interesting love story. Gags are good. The art is really cool at points. One of the best ways that I've seen like this stuff. Where it's he's got four pistols and he's shooting them as quickly as possible. Great rendering for that. And it's a goofball journey with this sadistic witch who challenged the gods to become a god. She's like, oh, I'm too fucking powerful. You should let me up in there. And they're like, no, you're a person. And she showed them, and then they showed her, and that's the whole plot, really. This young man was saved by her as a child. She was an evil witch, but to him, she was his savior, right? Was the example of who he could become. And so he took that literally. And it's just weird exploration dynamic. It's got this weird bit where the curse that they struck her down with basically takes away her powers and turns her into a 12-year-old unless she actually feels genuine love for somebody, and then she grows into her normal powerful self. And so it just plays with that dynamic for like the entire series. But the artwork is fucking incredible, and the gags are pretty good. The reading could be a little rough, but it's worth it. Gunwitch Kirihime. I read it a long time ago online, and then I picked up some of the volumes, and it sucks. I think they only got to volume 17 or like 25 translated and printed for here before they're like, nope, we can't afford that. It's not selling well enough. Which sucks. You can't have it physically, but you can still finish the story. Um, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Mythoverse. Oh, it was a cover. So yeah, instead of a normal bag, they did this bag. The actual cover. I believe it's available. Adobe Kroger Volume Issue 2 is available on Mythoverse.com if anybody's interested. I definitely recommend the series, and I would certainly recommend this issue if you've read the first. Um, it has the I talked about this last week. It has the quintessential sophomore hurdles, which I think we also had at IronVerse Comics with Jack number 2, which is number 3 is what brings it all home. In my IronVerse quickies, I'm going to talk about that. Again, hopefully later today. Maybe I'll film it today and have it go out tomorrow. We'll see. Because there's only one specific instance, and it's right at the end. And I'm just kind of like, oh, huh. Well, now I need issue 3 to tie this all together, or this is kind of awkward. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I definitely recommend that. They're doing the print-on-demand thing. You can always get their comics. If this is what you're talking about, it's a neat Leandro sketch with, I believe, the signature of the creator Dan Sacro. It's a neat little print. I do have to find a place to put it on up, but don't have it yet. But that is what I've been reading, except for that other thing I was talking about, Making Comics with Scott McCloud. Yeah. So that's that. um, I wish I could have spoke more about Battle Angel Alita, but it's at this point it's such a dense bit of lore and character interactions and studies of identity from different angles, and I don't know. There's a lot of arcs going on that, again, he tries to tie up in volumes 18 and 19. Some arcs that he left hanging throughout all of Last Order, but were really prevalent in the original run of Battle Angel Alita. Yeah. Last week I talked about the other stories one, but I missed one. You know what? I'm going to talk about it since I'm here now. Because I missed one that was really cool. That's kind of the blueprint of what I think, if you're doing an ongoing story, right? like manga tends to do, you don't always get these breathers, these one-shot breaks that just kind of explore some random idea. Um, in this, and I don't know if you can get it in any other form. I talked a lot about the young girl and God, I forgot the warlord. Um, basically, they're humongous from Mad Max. They finish off that story in a side story, right? This is called Holy Night and Other Stories. There was one I didn't talk about. That was, and I think it was a two-parter. Actually, it looks like it was two issues. Yes. Okay. And was this guy who he's a cyborg, right? You meet him at the beginning. Spoilers, to be fair, because it's you don't catch it. It's very smoothly done. You don't catch it right away. Um, it's one of Alita's. She works as a hunter. Right after Battle Angel, well, during Battle Angel Alita, her and Ito are hunters for a while, so they look for cyborgs that are misbehaving, let's say, in the scrapyard, and they fucking kill them. So there's an assassin out who is there's these really interesting shots that are being taken, and they can't find like the bullet that's being used or any of that, and just bounces off shit, and then whack, and then the cyborgs will be dead or the humans will be dead. So they're kind of investigating that. Um, on the street, she meets this garbage guy who's just kind of working, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a big fan," blah blah blah, because she was in Motorball. That's a big fucking deal throughout. It's a whole really cool arc in the original run. And so he gets her signature, and then I want to talk to you about fighting and stuff because I've never really been good at the fighting part of this, right? So he takes her back to her trailer, and she sees a book that he really that she really likes. I think it's called On Evil. It's a philosophy book. It's a very quick message that they wanted to communicate that I don't know if I can find, sadly, but eventually you find out that the killer that they're looking for is this garbage guy, and he has two cyborg arms, but he replaces them with these other arms with these interesting hands. And how he's been killing people is flicking little lead balls at like hundreds and hundreds of miles an hour, and so they'll ricochet off shit and hit people. He's basically a pinball killer. I thought that was really cool. A marble killer. Um, and so it goes with this long showdown, kind of. In the second part, she realizes who he is, and they have this showdown where it's his range combat with her trying to get close and finish him. Um, it was a really interesting. It was another quick exploration of identity, right? But it was self-contained and a one-shot, more like I expect a superhero comic from back in the day. And that was really cool to see that in a manga. I hadn't seen that in a manga where it's just this very simple concept, the showdown of a supervillain and a superhero, in a long, ongoing like manga series. I thought it was really cool, and it was handled really well. The character design's cool, and the weapon is stupid, but it's really cool. There it is. Oh, okay, there it is. No, that's him. He's reading Moby Dick at the beginning, which I think she's his white whale, is what that's supposed to be saying. A lot of exercise bit. Oh, he tries to assassinate her. That's it, and it doesn't work because she dodged it mostly, so it just like wicks off her head instead of kills her. And that's what gets her involved. Yeah, here we go. From's The Heart of Man, and in Japanese it was translated to About Evil. Uh, Interesting. Yeah, that's what it is. So she knows probably from about that point that he's the guy that she's out to kill, and out to kill her. And she leaves a note, and then they go at it. I don't know. It's a killer read. It's really well done, and of course the art style is always just fucking beautiful. Um, ah, but yeah, it's Battle Angel Alita has a lot of rough edges, like with it, and like most of the artistic charm is in the early issues, and then as he gets to later issues, he's super honed. So some of the charm and the rough is gone, and so that's felt, but it's more precise with what it's trying to say. Um, which is cool. That's one of the things you get to see in manga if they last long enough, right? For a super ongoing series, and definitely see that with them and what he's chosen to tackle and not wavering left and right or anything just to fill space. Very cool. You're reading Accidents and Old Lace, an old EC horror collection. Also reading Plus Sized Elf. Ooh, I don't know any of those things. I'm hoping EC means Epic Comics. At least I hope I have that right. Um, very cool. That's why I want to do these is get recommendations here and there too. Um, to be honest, it's rare I'm going to grab some of these things only because I have things already in plan. Like I just released the Fist of the North Star again in hardcover English translation. I'm super excited. That should be. I'm hoping it comes in by Friday. It just released yesterday. Um, before that, if you looked on Amazon, it's like $500 to get a copy of the book. So I'm so glad they started reprinting Fist of the North Star. I really want to read it in the manga form because the anime form was hard for me to get into. It was fine, but it was hard. And I tried watching the movie, which was English dubbed, and oh my god, is it terribly dubbed. It's free to watch on like Tubi TV or something. So I started that, and it was just really hard to watch. It's just really hard. The dubbing was terrible, and you can tell that they really tried to re-characterize the characters by how they chose to dub it, which it's not ever my favorite way to dub. The characters should be the characters. If you have to change words, sure, but the characters shouldn't change. And yeah, so I'm really excited for that. I'll hopefully be able to collect that as it comes out too, but we'll see. We'll see. Lots of stuff on the way. Well, no, not for me. In fact, Mars Chronicle 1 and 2 and that Fist of the North Star is the only thing on the way. Um, Besides some independent crowdfunded stuff, which I hope is coming in. But we'll see. We'll see. You want to buy another Coyote mug? I recommend getting that color shifting one. I just broke down the price by like $5 on the color shifting mug because it is the #1 product people are checking out on the website. So I'm hoping somebody pulls the trigger on it because I haven't seen it in action. It should be all white like these, except for your very cool Andrea's very cool Coyote image, right? But with a hot beverage in it, I think it should turn black, and that means the whole thing will blend in with the image. And I thought that's really cool. Um, but I haven't seen it myself, so I can't say how that works. I just have the images from the site. But I did. I knocked down the price by about $5, and then you can also use the code GetIrons, and that'll knock you down even more. And hopefully not so much that I have to actually pay Printify myself and lose money to get it out. But no one's bought it yet, so I can't tell you. But definitely check that out if that's one of the ones you're interested in. And check our site out. I did redo the site a little bit last week um, just to hype some things a little bit. And again, I did adjust some prices, changed our banner. I'll show you folks for the hell of it. Display capture, and then go ahead and take off our standby. Um, I think I added our Instagram to our social media contacts. Oh, I also added the Facebook to social media contacts. I categorized these. This I can remove at some point. This one's still active until I fulfill everything. Once I fulfill everything, it'll go. Um, I didn't update the Patreon as far as I know. Um, our global comics, where Jack Irons, the Steel Cowboy, is the #1 most popular comic on Global Comics for the last year. Not the last 3 months or the last month, but for the last year overall on views. It's also the most viewed comic on Global Comics, which is really cool. A little depressing because a lot of really big publishers hit them. So I don't know how we're out swinging like Heavy Metal and Red 5 and Vault and fucking Mad Cave, but we are out swinging them, which is I don't know, man. I don't know, man. That's interesting to me. I'll tell you that much. Oh, especially since I've tried to get a hold of a lot of those publishers. But it's neat. it's neat. And if you want to read our stuff for free, I still have issue 1, the entire thing you can read for free, and like 2/3 of issue 2 you can read for free on there. I can't like set up the licensing so that's different amount of pages for each, which really bothers me for each release, each issue, because I would make issue 2 also free to read on there just because it's not that free. We've actually made more money off of Global Comics than any other digital distribution site, except for maybe Wicked Publishing's like putting it out for $1 straight PDF downloads. But definitely more than Comixology and more than Webtoons and Tapas by far. Like I haven't made anything off of Tapas or Webtoons. But Global Comics, also with its kind of Patreon-like support thing that it has, we've made maybe about $100 off of it, which is really nice for just a shot in the dark. Um, so yeah, if you haven't put your stuff up on Global Comics and you're interested, check them out. You can always pull it down, right? Howdy, Immortal Death God. New here, but really love Jack Irons, and waiting for your physical copy to come in this week. And you beat Resistance. Yes, yes, we did. AWA is another studio that is on Global Comics, and not. The other thing is we're beating the manga on there. So for a very long time, we were like number 3 overall. We had these 2 other books that were very much romance manga. I'm going to say the stuff that really kicks ass on Tapas. And yeah, we're doing good, better than a lot of that too. It's very surprising. A large part of it is because Global Comics pushed us on Reddit, and we, by our merit and timing, took off on Reddit for like days. And we got fuck tons of views, and it was free, so people could just check it out. So it was a good, perfect, again, kind of a perfect storm of things that allowed us to continue to be that most viewed work on the site. But and I don't think that'll last. I think over the rest of this year, it's gonna kind of go down a little bit. I think we'll drop. But it would be very cool when we get number 3 up on there, which hopefully by the end of the year it'll be up on there. I want to give Wicked time to sell the PDF by itself and to sell the physical issues by itself before it goes up for a mostly free read, right? But we'll see if we can continue to be that. Even with those other publishers on there, it's an interesting situation I hope to be able to leverage, I'm going to say. Because I'm very proud of how Global Comics has been able to network and get these publishers on board under one kind of roof. I think that's really badass. And I want in on it. And I've been in on it, so I'm kind of curious. I'm very curious. Your comic book shop recommended Resistance, and you're beating them. Yep, I recommend Jack Irons to one of my local. Oh well, thank you so much. We will have issues to go out to comic shops here. We're not distributed, which sucks. Okay, to be fair, we are distributed. We're not distributed through one of the major comic book shop distributors, right? Not Diamond or Lunar or Penguin now or any of those, right? Where call us up, let us know, and we will get you the books. That's where we're at. Email IronVerseComics@gmail.com and give us an order. But yeah, I'm hoping we can continue to kind of swing with those. You think big old names should be swinging harder right now, and they should be. I've tried to get a hold of heavy metal, and we'll see if I will. My art team has worked for heavy metal recently. In fact, the most recent issue of heavy metal featured a collaboration between my art team and another writer, and beautiful work. I'm thinking they could do more with their branding than they're doing. That's arrogance on my part because I'm a newbie to this, right? And they've been doing it for 3, almost 4 decades. But I don't know. There's something there that feels half-hearted, and I would like to be part of that to change that. But we'll see. Yo, Christopher Lee Jackson, welcome. Straczynski is incredible. I love him as a writer. He's the guy who defined Thor for me. I love his work very, very much. And Resistance art is not my thing. I like Diodato. I like Diodato when he does line art. I don't like Diodato when he does stiff images, when he does 3D models. Right? I don't like that at all. To be honest, it's not great. So I'm not surprised. Resistance. Resistance also literally came on the heels of pandemic, talking about a pandemic, and so the timing was not great with Resistance. Um, Especially as the foundation of a universe they were trying to build. It was not good timing. Though our issue number 2 talks about a pandemic. It's not as long-winded about it, but it talks about it too, and it wasn't the greatest timing. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I like AWA a lot. I like what they're trying to do for creators. I like the creators they have under their house. Uh, and I can see how some corners are necessitated to be cut, i.e., those 3D models. When you have Mike Diodato on like 4 books, yeah, some of them are not going to be as good. I like, God, their weird Western they have out. Redemption. That's what it's called. I like what that looks like, and that's also Diodato on line art, and it's actually line art. So looks like they're using him the best they can. I like Frank Martin Jr. did the colors on, I want to say Resistance, and Frank Martin Jr. He's if you're watching on YouTube, and you are, our profile pic on YouTube and Twitter is Maxi Dollar, a wonderful line artist, and Frank Martin Jr. of Venom and King in Black and Wolverine and shit. Did the colors on that as a kind of a fan art gift to us. Very sweet. Tried to get him on a cover, but the timing didn't line up. He says he owes us a cover though, so I'll call in that favor one of these days and see if it'll work out. Um, but just Brian Edward Hill, Chariot, is the title under AWA that he's doing. Very cool stuff. Very 80s kind of synth inspired work. Um, there's a lot of cool stuff at AWA. Resistance isn't my favorite title out of them, I'm going to say, mainly because of the art. Um, but that doesn't change Diodato's talent. He can do incredible things when he can do incredible things. And the coloring again is great, but you can only breathe so much life into 3D models without them feeling super static. They're always going to feel super static. Like it's okay for solid things like backgrounds here and there, but when it's your characters, you can really feel it. I don't think it's the best path to presenting a comic book. But that's me. That's me. Some people might not mind it. Um, TKO is fucking incredible. Um, I really like the folks behind it. I like how much they leaned into their quality and their very particular choice of creators and stories they're putting out. I enjoyed the 3 shorts. I've reviewed 3 shorts on our channel in IronVerse Quickies. Each short was interesting. It was very horror was the main gist I got out of all 3 of them, but they put out like 9 to 12, I think, at this point, and they're not all horror. So I'm gonna have to check out more of those just because it's a great way for a teen to test out concepts and just to get more work out there. It's got this little digest format and it's about 12 to 15 pages, so it's like half a comic. It's a cool idea. Um, and then their trade paperbacks, which are bingeable, are really nice. I love Sarah. I'm always gonna love anything military that Garth Ennis puts out. He puts so much care and affection and respect into depicting war. Um, I don't think any writer does it as justice, like not even close. And then Goodnight Paradise, really hard read, but I adored it. This hobo who is investigating this young girl and her dog's murder because nobody else will, and the tale he uncovers and such is it's heart wrenching, but it's a good story. Um, yeah, that's what I'd say about Goodnight Paradise. It's not a fun read, but it is a wonderful read in what it's trying to do. Um, I have Seven Deadly Sins, and I've started it again and again. It's really gritty. It's going for that Tarantino kind of Western feel, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but some people really enjoy, so I'm sure some people will really get a kick out of it. And one of these days I'll sit down and go through it. It's just the tone with the art is very strong. Again, it's super strong on those angles, and those aren't my favorite reads. There's a lack of fun that I want in my comics, even when they're dealing with really heavy stuff that I didn't feel in that. So it's hard for me to just want to dive into the grime. Like Punisher Max, super heavy, super evil stuff that's being dealt with and talked about, but there's a sense. Frank is catharsis. There's this dry wit, dark grim wit to Frank, the poet that Garth Ennis kept in him, that helps carry all of that. I didn't feel that in Deadly Sins, but some people really enjoyed it. I've heard great things about Sentient by Jeff Lemire. TKO. In fact, I know that got nominated for a few of those nifty comic awards, and it looks interesting. I haven't heard anything Pound for Pound, I think is called. I didn't hear anything about that. It didn't really interest me. Haven't heard anything about Dr. Fang, the other book that Seichun did, besides Seven Deadly Sins, but it looks more up my alley than Seven Deadly Sins. It's kind of an Indiana Jones thing. But TKO is worth watching, and I really hope they continue to kick some ass. I can tell by how they've run their business here and there that they did not gather the footing they've wanted and the footing they thought they would, but they haven't stopped putting a good foot forward, and that's really important. I've seen a lot of publishers not get their footing, and then they get timid, right? They get timid and they stop trying to grab ground, and I think that's a terrible mistake. Um, you also like Ultra Mega. I've heard a lot of good things. That's the James Herron work, right? The most recent. It might be James Herron, or I'm confusing it with the other guy. It's gonna bug me. But I think I'm right with James Herron. I've heard really good things about that. That seems to be an indie superhero lovers book. It should be what you want out of that kind of storytelling. To be fair, I don't know much about it, but I've heard a lot of good things, and I really like that artist. Our artist Maxi Dalla, I believe, is a massive fan of Mr. Herron, and you can see some of his influences in our work. Um, More than Radio Black, despite them both using the same trick. My friend bought Sentient, and I really enjoyed it. Oh, well, good. Do you like Supreme Power by Straczynski? I don't think I have. I don't think I have a run with him. I have. No, I'm thinking of Supreme, aren't I? I'm thinking of just Supreme, the old Image Comics. So no, I'm not aware of it, so I can't tell you. I like Straczynski's writing, so it's likely I'd like that. But then again, Resistance, I like the writing, but the art didn't carry it, so it was enough that I didn't like that too much. So yeah, I can't tell you. You haven't read Punisher Max, but Supreme Power is one of my favorite. Oh, and James Herron, I'm glad I have that artist right, because that would have bothered me quite a bit. And Supreme Power, I don't think that's the Max title I have. That's other Max. I used to have like Dust or something, which was a weird one, and I have Wisdom. That's it, Wisdom and Hellstrom from Max as well, and then I have Fury from Max. Man, it's just more Garth Ennis war stories, and it's everything I want from a Nick Fury story, the ultimate super spy but grounded in reality. It's wonderful. I really recommend Fury Max, and it adds layers to Punisher Max as well. It does everything it needs to be and more. It's wonderful storytelling, Fury Max. And then there's Fury, which is also a Max comic, which is just kind of the prequel where he's testing out the ideas. It's really good too. It's just more fun than Fury is. Fury War Gone By is fucking incredible. If you want a dense history lesson on how the spy game actually began, right after World War II, you're not going to get a better, more engaging tale on it. You might as well just go read a history book if you want better terms of detail. But if you want something engaging, so good. Um, all right, take care, Christopher. No worries. I'm good. Thank you for being high and by. We don't get enough of that even. So thank you. But yeah, out of what I've read, that's what I've read recently. Looks like Supreme Power by Max Comics, and I do kind of remember seeing the cover of that. One of the character designs on the cover kind of reminds me of Owlman, if I'm thinking right. Not Owlman, fucking the Watchmen owl guy. That's gonna bug me. Kind of Owlman too, actually, to be fair, from DC. But picturing it because it's a guy's face on the cover, and it's got the kind of Owlman kind of cowl, if I'm right, a beak where the nose is, if I'm remembering right. It's been a long time since I've seen that, but I do remember what you're talking about now. That's by Straczynski and Max, huh? I might have to check that out. Might have to check that out. Correct, his name is Nighthawk. Oh, so is it the Nighthawk I'm thinking? No, that's Darkhawk I'm thinking of from Marvel. Oh, that's gonna break my brain wide open. Thinking of Nighthawk now, or not Nighthawk, Darkhawk. Um, yeah, interesting. Okay, so I am right though that it had the beak. Cool. My memory's there. It's not hyper detailed, but it's there. Um, cool. Yeah, because I remember the face on the cover of the trade. Um, But that's worth checking out. Ultra Mega apparently is worth checking out, and I've heard a lot of good things about Ultra Mega. To be fair, I'm not sure if it's finished or not. Another good series of books and another creator I recommend always reading anything from is Daniel Warren Johnson. Right now, I think he's still on Beta Ray Bill. I've heard it is incredible, and from the artwork I've seen, it's probably incredible. Murder Falcon is one of my favorite pieces of sequential art ever put out, so check out Murder Falcon, particularly if you have a love of heavy metal. Um, and Battle Angel Alita, start it from the beginning if you can. Definitely always worth a look. Um, there's a few other. What else? I started Hajime no Ippo. That's really good. The anime is a little bit easier to watch, and I believe it's on YouTube for free, so check that out. But there's certain characteristics of Hajime no Ippo that are only in the manga. That's really interesting. Uh, I know Dollar Coins, who may or may not still be here, is a big fan of it, and I can see why. Uh, really cool. Uh, I guess that really kind of covers my reading recommendations. Is amazing. You are reading Beta Ray Bill, awesome. Um, it's basically Ultimate Marvel Justice League. Oh, okay, gotcha. Um, yes, it is amazing. I agree. Super inspirational. Honestly, it's super inspirational, and it's hard for me to give a better, um, more heartfelt compliment than that to a work. It makes you want to go out and kick ass in whatever you're doing, and makes you want to stand up to your struggles and keep pushing forward. It's a wonderful gift a piece of art can give. Um, Definitely worth checking it out, especially if you're down on your luck or whatever. It's a good one for feeling better about things. Um, I think that does cover it, though, however, folks. I wish I had more to talk about on the reading level, but you folks, particularly you, Immortal Death God, again, welcome. Thank you so much for talking about your reads. We try and do these. I'm definitely doing them every week. I try to do this on Tuesday or Wednesday. I try to do it Wednesday when I can, just because new comic book day thematics, right? But sometimes I feel like doing it on a Tuesday just so I can have my other days. Um, Working a lot. I'm working a lot. It's kicking my ass, especially with this heat. But yeah, and usually around this time, sometimes earlier in the morning, sometimes it'll be the first thing I do after I wake up. I'll get some coffee and do this. Um, Sometimes it's later. Today it was I woke up, got stuff ready, and passed out because of the heat. I woke up again and ate something, and here we are. I wish I could stick to a schedule. I'm terribly undisciplined on that. But if I can get it done weekly and in one of these 2 days, then I think that's a step in the right direction. Right on. You didn't miss much, and of course, there's always a replay if you're interested, and I'm happy to have comments down below. Um, there are 4 previous Whatcha Readings also that have other content and other recommendations. We have the IronVerse Quickies series, which talks primarily about independent comics, but we'll sometimes talk about other things. Uh, Mostly independent comics. I really try hard to keep it on that. Like, I haven't done any manga on it, and I haven't done any like. I feel like I've done one collection from heavy metal, the Gypsy, Gypsy, the Wandering Star arc, and I just did the first third of it to not spoil the rest of it. Gypsy Wandering Star, my favorite book out of heavy metal, and I got it for like $3 for like 15 fucking issues in a collected. Very much recommended. I fucking love that book. Um, it's got a unique voice like Sergio Aragonés ends up having, where it's a foreigner writing it through their conception of English, and there's such a charm when that's done right, because you'll get a lot of character you don't get otherwise, and I think that's really cool. Um, and there's usually going to be a Gru issue every week if I can help it. We'll talk about it. I talked about that earlier. But yeah, folks, let me see how long we've been going, and if it's about an hour. Yeah, I like to keep these relatively short, so I guess we will call it here. Thank you so much for joining. See you next week on this, and thank you so much for joining us on this old rusty trail I call IronVerse Comics. Uh, as always, anything you have to say, contact us however you can. Twitter at cowboy_steel. Email ironversecomics@gmail.com. Facebook, Jack Irons. Instagram, Jack Irons Comics. All of our links are on ironversecomics.com. Even some free reads. If you're a manga fan, now is the time to hop on to Cactus Coyote. We've got more and more content from this character coming out here and there. I'm especially excited to hit this sooner or later. I'm not trying to put a bunch of pressure on Dollar Coins. Wonderful creator, but definitely want to see more. You can read our first chapter of Cactus Coyote, kind of the proposal manga that we actually entered into the Shonen Jump contest last year. Right here, 42 pages, kind of introduction to the character. Reads right to left. It is a traditional manga, except it's done in English. And so much more to check out. I'll try to stop by, and we'll continue to support Jack Irons, and hope you try to stay cool. Yeah, definitely staying cool. I got my nice, hopefully the air conditioner is not coming through the mic, and my doggy down here is sleeping through the heat like she should. Cactus Coyote, Tracker, Lady Silverado, Jack Irons Steel Cowboy, and Stephen Hugh, the Golden Monk, all in various levels of production, with Cactus Coyote being the furthest along aside from Jack Irons. So we're rolling those out as we can. The more energy we can get behind our work, the better. If you have $1 a month to help us build the best of the Weird Space West, it will go very, very far right here on Patreon. If you folks would check out, all our live streams go up on there. Any in-progress stuff from the team goes up on there once I have it approved. If it's from another team, or if it's from me, it goes straight up on there. And you can snag all 3 issues digitally for that $1 a month. We hope you stick around after you snag the 3, but we'll be happy for the $1. We just want to spread the info. You'll get stuff like this too, where I talk about our journeys and attempts on crowdfunding. So if you're interested in indie comics and making your own work, hopefully our journey will lend you some strength and some information. And the best way to find that stuff is, of course, sub if you're on YouTube right now, and go through our archives and look through the stuff we've already put out. But also Patreon, where you can just go to live stream or updates, and you'll find that kind of stuff. I need to honestly add a couple more filters. Like here's a Whatcha Reading if you're looking for that. I need to add some filters and some more tags, but every little bit at a time, every brick, right? And let's see. There's more. Yes, there's much more to our universe. She is a Frankfurter. She is a hot dog. She is a hot dog. Aren't you? Here's a little sausage. I work with a lot more sausage dogs than her, and I guess she does too. She's my partner at work. Has been for the last couple months, which is nice. So this is her day off too. So she's doing her thing. But Patreon is the best place to support us. If we can get this up about 100 times, we'll be making comics monthly. So we only need about 150 patrons, at about where we're at, and we'll be making comics consistently, pin-ups, wallpapers, everything. We have the art teams lined up. We have the scripts written, and nowhere to go but up. We've hit rock bottom a few times, and definitely nowhere to go but up. So I'm excited to continue making comics, making these videos, and thank you so much for joining me. All our links, IronVerseComics.com. You can also get your physicals here. If you backed, which it sounds like you did, Immortal Death God, you should be getting them this week or next if you're a domestic backer. Wicked Publishing is working very hard to get everything out. They're also working on a couple other campaign fulfillments, which are much smaller, but equally important, right? So we're doing the best we can. They've told me they should be able to finish the domestic shipments by the end of June. All that's paid for on my end, so I hope you get your stuff soon. I'll be sending out the metal cards. I've been saying this for weeks. I'm hoping next week at least starting the batches. I have quite a few of them ready to go. I just need to write the addresses and get the stamps. Stamps are 55 cents a piece. I have 400 cards to send out, so it's a chunk of change I got to kind of save and work with. It's been a hard year this year for a lot of reasons, but it's been a growth year, right? Struggling through that, so it's an important one, and sadly it is taking time on things, which not an excuse, but it is a cause, right? Anywho, thank you so much for joining me. Looks like we've had more viewers this go around than usual as well, which I really appreciate. Um, so maybe I'll do it more in the middle of the day instead of early morning. We'll see. It could just be today as well. But yeah, I'm Conan with IronVerse Comics. This has been Whatcha Reading, number 5, I believe. And I'll catch you next week, if not later on today with some IronVerse quickies or another live stream. If I'm not working tomorrow, there's a good chance I'll just do another hangout kind of casual gaming stream. And if you're into those, we do that where it's always an Ask Me Anything about comics or whatever. I'm just here for you folks. And myself doing something, right? Gotta keep busy. Anyway, appreciate you. See you on down that rusty trail. You folks, take care. And catch you next time.